I'm Wade Crowfoot, our California Natural Resources Secretary, and I'm here with Tok Somashakin, Director of Caltrans, and Armando Quintero, who runs our state park system. We wanted to spend just a few minutes reflecting on our efforts under Governor Gavin Newsom to advance equity inclusion in our own institutions. Something I know that we're all committed to is reflecting on place names in California and identifying if there are names that are used for our natural features or our human-made infrastructure that are discriminatory, that really need to be updated. And Tokes, I know that that's something that you're taking on at Caltrans. How does this fit into your sort of overall vision for the department?
Well, thanks, Secretary Crowfoot. It definitely fits in, and it's an important thing that we're taking on. As a team, we've sat around for the last several months watching what's taken place nationally and what's happened here in the state as well. And we've said, look, there are some things that we want to do that are symbolic in nature. And we think this is part of that because we believe people will be excited and happy to hear some of the changes that could be made with some of these, some of the names that will possibly be removed. But we want to ultimately change people's lives in this state. We want to transform lives. And part of the way to do that is actually helping address policy issues, addressing projects in communities. As we build transportation projects, as we look at our policies, we want to actually make changes there because we know that's truly where the difference will be made. So for example, in our department, we've got billions of dollars that we spend on building new facilities. We want to make sure that as we're resurfacing a road in a community that we're just not going to the affluent communities, for example, to repave roads or to resurface roads or to build projects. We want to go to communities where the need is and where the economic, social economic status of that community may not be high, or they may have been underserved for years. So we want to look at concrete things. This is a great example, I believe, of us making those steps. But it's just an initial step of many steps that we need to take as we start this work. We continue this work at Caltrans.
You're right. It's so varied in terms of what we have to do. Armando, you came in and are now helming the state parks just for a few months. How does this equity and inclusion agenda really fit for you at state parks?
Well, it's really astonishing the number of programs within state parks which actually primed for doing this. For example, rangers have put together something called the Ports program, which is literally a virtual experience that takes people from throughout not only the state but the world into our parks to tell the stories about parks. And what's astonishing is that those stories almost unintentionally end up telling contemporary stories about these parks, which is really rich and invaluable. One of the things that we're doing is we look at the historic place names in parks and the way that we tell stories is we're bringing in representatives from tribes, representatives from the various groups that have worked and been involved in the creation of those parks. And so they're helping us not only rethink how we tell the stories, but we actually have an opportunity to tell a fuller story that really puts all of us in a place where we can see ourselves in that story. And one of the things that I think is really valuable is that it puts us in a position to imagine the future and how are our actions now aiming us toward a healthy and collaborative future, which is really what has made this state great. And so parks, although it's 280 parks throughout the state, between those 280 parks and the grants programs, there are literally thousands of communities that are impacted by state parks activities and investments. And so we think we have an extraordinary opportunity to help Californians reflect on the history of the state and also to understand not only our perspectives, but our neighbors' perspectives and the perspectives of the people who came here before us. Yep. It's really it's a perfect setting to be thinking about this.
Absolutely. So ultimately, we're excited to be working together across agencies to advance California for all and thank our employees for everything they do day in and day out, not only to deliver our mission, but to really meet the moment to advance equity and inclusion.